is a Ford carburetor, and I took it off my 1979 Ford when I went to start up this season to get it ready to go. This piece right here off of the carburetor went ahead and started leaking right at the bottom and just started dripping right onto the intake manifold, and that could easily cause a fire. And an engine fire is not a good thing to happen. Been through one of those already once. So I'm going to get this replaced. The gasket's in there, see what I can do. I bought a kit for it, and I'm going to probably rebuild the whole thing. If I don't have to, I might cheat it and just do this piece right here. We'll see. Took off the old diaphragm off the pump assembly on the carburetor, and it just looks like the gasket here is just worn out. I mean, you can't really see any holes up in there, but it just looks like it's starting to crack, and that could easily be the cause of the fuel leakage that is occurring from this spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and replace this, and then I'm going to put it right back on the truck and see if that will do it. I know I'm kind of cheating the whole thing on a rebuild, but the carburetor runs fine except for that leak that's occurring right here. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can cheat it, because if I don't have to rebuild this whole thing, I'm going to take the easiest way possible. The pump assembly is replaced. I got it all hooked up, ready to go. There's the old diaphragm there. And that is why when you open up the kit, you get all those parts in there to rebuild your carburetor, which if I rebuilt this from scratch, I'd need all those. I've done it before, but with snow season coming and the fact that this thing still works just fine, I'm not doing it. But it says here, breaking this seal prohibits the return and or crediting of this carburetor kit, because they know that people just want 1 or 2 parts out of this thing, not the whole kit. But they don't do that, so they get their money either way. Probably the smartest thing to do would actually be to rebuild this thing from scratch. I've done it before. It's not a big deal. It's just labor intensive, and we got a snowstorm coming in, and I just want to see if I can get this thing running and working, and get the plow truck up and ready to go. So we'll see if I can do that with this carburetor. Get that carburetor on the truck and get it going. All right, this is the Ford plow truck that I'm talking about. And this thing has been a beast of burden ever since I bought it. Have I had to fix it and repair it and keep this thing going? It has been awful. I'm going to stick that carburetor back on. You can see here, ooh, where's the plow pump assembly? It's not there because it doesn't work. So I'm ordering out a rebuilt on that. The one I had on here is so shot, the motor's burned out, and it can't hold lift anymore. I mean, it can be rebuilt, but still would have to replace the motor. So I'm getting something that was done right out of a rebuilt factory. Then I'll hook that all up, and she should be good to go. So I just gotta put the carburetor on right over there, and we'll see if this thing will turn over today. All right, the good news is the pump assembly on there now is not leaking. That is great news. We got a little bit of rain dripping down, and that's what that steam is, and that pump, so you got rain coming off. It's not that nice of a day out right now as far as the rain goes. It's supposed to turn to snow tonight. First snowstorm of the season. Looks like this truck doesn't have a fan shroud either. Huh, I wonder why. Now that looks like a significant fuel leak. I just fixed the pump assembly, and now the main intake for the fuel line into the carburetor is leaking. I'm going to pull that thing off again. I might have to find a gasket for that. I might have to find a whole new pipe for it, hose clamps, but it's got to come off. So this is the adventure of the snowplow truck. It is a constant battle. Man versus machine. Whenever you buy something used, you're gonna have to work with it. You're gonna have to fix other people's problems. that's what I'm doing. It's cheaper, I think, than buying brand new, but golly, it would have been nice to just be able to fix that one leak and be done with it. But no, there's another leak, and so it begins. The carburetor saga continues. So the part that was leaking was the fuel, the fuel inline right here. Well, I decided to tighten it, and as I was tightening it, I was like, man, this is super, super loose. As I kept going, it just decided to break right inside. You can see that. It is broken inside there. So how do you get that out? Well, I had an issue one time with a shower, and I was taking it apart, and that happened. So I bought this tool many, many years ago when I lived off the coast in Oregon. And what you do is you drill it right there, a little bit bigger than what it is, and you pop that in there, and then you use a pair of vice grips, and you just reverse it out, and it just bites down, takes it out. So I'm going to drill that and see how that goes. I need two hands for this. Okay, I got it drilled out enough. What I need to do now is take this, and then I have to hammer it with a ball peen hammer in there. Hopefully not too hard. Just right, so I can reverse it back out. I'm going to give it my best shot. I pray that I don't screw it up, and we'll go. See what happens. I got it. I got it working. It's coming out, and then I can get a new part for it and replace this carburetor, put it back into the truck. So let me just go ahead and see if I can get the camera angle right, and you can see how this tool works. It's a great tool if you ever have something that breaks off, especially a softer metal like this was probably maybe brass, but it's a softer metal than the actual body of the carburetor. So the carburetor metal is actually heavier or stronger than this, and that's why I'm able to get this out. I'll just show you how this works. Here it is right here, and I got a pair of vice grips, and you're just, it tightens down as you turn to loosen. It's reverse threaded, so it's going in deeper, and as it goes deeper, it starts to bite on the piece that broke off. And so by keep turning it to the left, loosening it up, it actually gets so tight in there that eventually it bites onto the piece that's broken. And as you can see, it's just slowly coming out. Okay, so that is the piece right there. That's the brass fitting. It's there, and I'll have to take it to a vice grip, put this end into the vice, and then take this off using a vice grip. So working with these old carburetor parts, I really don't mind it at all. The problem is that the history of the Plow truck. I bought it for a great deal. As mentioned before, I bought a lot of problems. If I listed them off, you'd be sadly enough amazed at just the Plow I got. And it looked on the onset pretty good. It looked like it was going to do fine, but looks can be deceiving when you get into it. When you start working that machine and plowing up the snow, and you're moving a lot of heavy snow, things usually break, and that's with any plow truck. But this plow truck was just put together just enough to where it just seemed like, I think the owner knew it was time to get rid of it. It was, and he sold it for a good price, which justifies getting rid of it. If you find a really cheap plow truck, be prepared that you're going to be rebuilding a lot. I had a professional welder rebuild the entire plow front. I had to buy a new pump assembly and motor, which is coming next week. The engine leaks oil like a sieve, so I'm adding 2 quarts of oil every time I actually start the engine to plow. The gas tank is held together Gosh, you know, you don't think to look at a gas tank when you're buying a vehicle, but the gas tank is held by like 3/4 inch banding for conduit for, you know, the air conditioning units, the metal things that go across, you know, the building ceilings. That's what's holding the gas tank in place, and that broke loose and started rubbing against the drivetrain. It was actually cutting into the drivetrain, almost cut the drivetrain in half, but I caught it in time. So this plow truck is man versus machine, and that's what we're doing. Is we're fixing it part by part, piece by piece, and eventually it'll be done. So as you can see with the carburetor, I fixed the pump assembly on the front, and now I've reversed the inline fuel inline piece that was busted off inside, and we'll get this together. So I'll probably end up rebuilding this carburetor, and I'll save that kit for later. But the carburetor runs fine if it would just stop leaking fuel out of those two areas. So yeah, here we go. I'm gonna win.